All right, thank you. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the March 4th Zoning Committee Work Session. My name is Andrew Blumenthal. It is my pleasure to serve as the chairman of the Zoning Committee of the Planning Commission. This meeting is being streamed online via the Planning Department's YouTube page in accordance with all applicable meeting statutes. Requirements for notice, access, and minutes are being met by electronic means as well. A few orders of business. Please keep your mic muted when not speaking and state your name when making a motion or second. The public hearings for these zoning petitions that we are discussing have been held at a previous date in front of the Charlotte City Council and the Zoning Committee. As an important reminder to that, this meeting is not a continuation of those hearings. Therefore, there will be no public input unless the committee has a specific question, in which case we may suspend the session and ask the petitioner directly. Let's get started with introductions, starting with our commissioners. Let's start on my left with Commissioner Seeley.
Clayton Seeley, Planning Commission.
Shauna Neely, Planning Commission.
Erin Shaw, Planning Commission.
Rick Winiker, Planning Commission.
All right, and then staff around the dais, please. Holly, if you would start.
Holly Kramer, planning staff.
Stuart Valzonis, planning staff.
Max Oliver, Planning Staff.
Joe Mangum, planning staff.
Raquel Jones, planning staff. Emma Kanara-Haas, planning staff.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, the staff members joining us virtually this evening. Just scattershot it.
Carpenter, CDOT.
Natalie King, CDOT.
Isaiah Washington, CDOT.
Travis Miller, CDOT.
Drew Ritter, CDOT.
Chris Manos, CDOT.
All right. Thank you all very much. Jumping right in, I believe we only have one deferral this evening. That's petition 2024-125 by Tay Holdings. If I could get a motion on that deferral, please.
Neely, motion to defer.
Shaw, second.
All right. Motion by Neely, second by Shaw. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you all very much. Our first petition this evening we'll hear out is 2024-047 by Heaven Properties. And Claire is our resource for this one. Somebody stepping in for Claire?
Yeah, I'll present this one.
Okay, thank you.
The site is just under 13 acres, located along the north side of Harris Houston Road, west of Astoria Drive, east of I-45. Area is largely developed out with single-family neighborhoods. Existing zoning for the site is Neighborhood 1A, and they are proposing to go to Neighborhood 1D conditional. That is consistent with the 2040 policy maps recommendation for the Neighborhood 1 place type for this site. This proposal is what was presented at the time of the public hearing back in December. Proposes 76 duplex units with maximum building height of 40 feet. Installs an internal network of public streets with on-street public parking, 6-foot sidewalks, and 8-foot planting strips along public street frontages. Commits to 15.7% common open space across the site, which is above the 10% minimum. And also 16.5% green area across the site. Where the site abuts the N1 place type, there would be a 30-foot landscape yard planted to Class B landscape yard standards. 10-foot buffer planted with evergreens would be provided along Chariot Road and Trident Lane hammerheads. Incorporates architectural standards related to recessed garage doors, prominent porches and stoops, and blank wall provisions. Existing pond on the site may be converted to a BMP. Since the public hearing, the petitioner met with the community again and added several notes, the three of which are listed here. Petitioner will coordinate with residents on the type of amenities provided within the common open space areas. Petitioner will also work with the Houston Hills subdivision to upfit the open space with front shared utility easement. Petitioner will fund traffic calming measures on the proposed public streets within the Harris Houston development. The funding of the proposed traffic calming measures is based on the city's approval of traffic calming measures for the neighboring Houston Hills subdivision. And the petitioner will include rental limitations in the development's conditions, covenants, and restrictions. Staff recommends approval of this petition upon resolution of outstanding issues related to urban forestry comments. Yesterday, we did meet with the petitioner and urban forestry to discuss those remaining items, and we worked out how to address them on the plan, and we believe that we will have resolution on those outstanding issues on the final plan that will be submitted this week. This petition is consistent with the policy maps recommendation for the neighborhood 1 place type and proposes building forms permitted under the existing zoning that is also supported by the policy. Development for the proposal is characterized by low-rise residential buildings uniformly set back from the street and generally consistent lot sizes. Front lawns, landscape areas, tree-lined sidewalks are found between residences and the street, and individual backyards are commonly found for each main residential building. This project builds in conditions exceeding ordinance requirements, for example, in regards to the open space and buffering, and these conditions are mindful to the surrounding developments and help balance open space amenities with the proposed density across the site. And I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Holly. One quick thing, I'm not sure if the mic was turned down. It was just a little bit hard to hear. Just to
Yeah.
let you know.
Thank you.
I think mine was quiet too, so I'm holding it up to my face. Any questions? All right, kicking this one off with a bang. I just had one quick point on under environment where it said that the green area standards were not addressed, or there was some stuff that was not addressed on there. Was the primary one, I know you said one of the outstanding issues was regarding the tree save areas. Was that as simple as showing no build zones and utilities and shifting that tree save to cover the existing canopy?
It was how the tree save area and the common open space areas are shown, and replantings and making sure that they're meeting ordinance standards. So I think there's just confusion over how much those can overlap common open space areas and how replantings work under the UDO. They have ample space, to be clear, to meet those requirements and then exceed them. So it was just a matter of essentially being able to label them correctly on the site plan and make sure that they're meeting those replanting standards correctly within what the N1 district requires, as well as tree save versus replanting. So
Got
worked
it.
that out with urban forestry yesterday, and we're going to have resolution on that.
Okay,
The
so that
final
has
site
been
plan.
resolved.
Mhm.
All right, perfect. And again, this is just a great example of another site kind of finding a way to develop and add housing options on what appear to be difficult sites on their face. So that's it for me, barring discussion or comment from anybody else. Happy to entertain a motion.
Winiker, move to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff, to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2024-047 as it appears before us in the adoption of the consistency statement.
Neely, second.
All right, motion by Winiker, second by Seeley. All in favor?
Neely.
Neely, sorry. I was looking this way saying, all right, motion by Winiker, second by Neely. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Passes unanimously. Next, we have 2024-072 by the Drakeford Company with Joe.
This site is about 19 and a half acres located at the end of Harvest Hill Drive, east of Lawrence Orr Road and north of Barcliff Drive. Surrounded by a mix of uses, including the Hickory Grove Church Campus, multifamily stack to the east, and largely single-family detached to the west and south. Current zoning is a mix of MX1 Innovative, N1A, and IC1. The proposed zoning is a site plan amendment of MX1 Innovative and also N1D CD. The 2040 policy map recommends neighborhood 1 for the majority of the site and campus for that area in the Hornets Teal. Majority of this site was rezoned a few years ago to allow 35 single-family detached dwellings and 28 multifamily attached dwellings. The current petition would amend the approved plan while including additional parcels and increasing the number of dwelling units. Would maintain the general development pattern of the previously approved plan, establish a network of public streets extending off Harvest Hill Drive to provide access to the new proposed lots. Allows for a total of 96 dwelling units, including 68 single-family detached and/or attached dwelling units in the MX1 portion of the site, and 28 single-family detached and/or attached dwelling units in the N1D portion of the site. It includes 6 lots proposed at the end of the John Etten Drive cul-de-sac. In the event the petitioner is able to acquire a city-owned parcel along Johnette Drive. The petitioner commits to providing 2 affordable residences in the first phase of development along Harvest Spring Drive. Requests innovative provisions of the MX1 zoning district to allow for 20-foot front setbacks and rear yards and 5-foot side yards. Commits to architectural standards for single-family attached units, including porches and stoops as predominant features, and garage doors recessed from the front wall plane. Commits to enhance plantings along proposed stormwater management areas abutting existing residential lots and public streets. Since the public hearing, the petitioner has addressed outstanding issues related to site and building design and transportation, including limiting the proposed lots on Johnette Drive to single-family detached and duplex dwellings, and clarifying affordable unit commitments. Staff recommends approval of this petition upon resolution of an outstanding issue related to the environment. That is a tree survey specifically. Petition is both consistent and inconsistent with the 2040 policy map. The policy map recommends neighborhood 1 and campus place types for the site. Petition is consistent with the policy map for the portion of the site proposed for N1DCD and within the neighborhood 1 place type. The petition is inconsistent with the policy map for the portion of site proposed for N1DCD and within the campus place type. Petition is also inconsistent for the portion of the site proposed for MX1 innovative site plan amendment and within the neighborhood 1 place type. Staff does recommend approval. Petition proposes to maintain the key elements of the previously approved plan while allowing for more units on additional acreage. A portion of the site lies within a housing gap. The petition proposes a mix of single-family attached and single-family detached dwellings, which will broaden the housing options in this area of the city. Upon sale of a city-owned property, the petition commits to providing 2 affordable units in the first phase of development. The proposed moderate density residential will provide an appropriate transition from the multifamily residential and institutional uses to the east of the site and single-family detached residential to the west. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Joe. Any feedback, discussion, questions? All right. Recognizing this is just a site plan amendment and maybe it's because of the development type, is there any sort of dedicated and or amenitized green space on this outside of the tree safe? And was that a requirement initially, I guess is more of my question.
I don't believe there is a standalone open space that
Okay.
captured more on the picture.
Okay, because these are all single family, correct?
Mixture of single family attached and duplex.
Understood. Okay. No, that makes sense. I was just looking through the site plan, just making sure that I understood it. All right, anybody else? All right, motion.
Motion to approve Sealy. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2024-072 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it also appears before us.
Neely, second.
Don't do that. All right, motion by Neely, second by Sealy, second by Neely. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. I was like, no, not you. All right. Next we have 2024-126 by Graystar Development East and Stewart, please.
Petition 2024-126 is approximately 11.5 acres located on the north side of Queen City Drive and the south side of Tuckasegee Road. It is currently mostly a wooded vacant lot with one single-family parcel on the north side. To the north and west are single-family residential neighborhoods. The east are multifamily units as well as commercial development, and the south is bordered by 85. The current zoning is MUD-O, ANDO, N2B ANDO, and NA1 ANDO. The proposed zoning is N2C CD ANDO. The 2040 policy map recommends the neighborhood 1 place type. On the proposed site plan, It would allow for up to 306 multifamily stacked dwelling units and up to 10,000 square feet of leasing office and amenity building. The developer will provide access to the site through a new public street connecting to Tuckasegee Road. They will also provide a westbound left turn lane to be installed on Tuckasegee Road. They will also try to gain access onto Queen City Drive through various methods. The first of which is to use an already platted Grand Lakes Drive on the adjacent parcel. In the event that that cannot be completed by the 155th CO, the petitioner will create a private driveway for vehicular access onto Queen City Drive. They will also provide Class C landscape yards with a 6-foot tall opaque fence, a 25-foot Class B landscape yard with a 6-foot tall opaque fence installed on top of a 6-foot tall berm shall be established along the western edge of the new public street. A 25-foot Class B landscape yard with a 6-foot tall opaque fence shall be established along the northern boundary of the newly created public street. They will also provide 5,000 square feet of amenitized open space with enhanced landscaping, seating, and benches shall be provided. Since public hearing, the petitioner has updated some language regarding that 6-foot tall opaque fence on top of the 6-foot tall berm, just for clarity's sake. They have also committed to installing upgraded windows along the southernmost residential units for sound mitigation purposes. Staff does recommend this a petition for approval. The petition is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map. However, this section of Tuckasegee Road is bordered by neighborhood 1 uses to the north and general commercial uses to the east and west. The area along Queen City Drive has seen an increase in commercial development, and we think this is supported by the transition being provided from the lower density single-family homes to the more intense commercial uses. The site can serve as a transition. Immediately to the east are entitled hotel uses, and to the immediate west are single-family residential neighborhoods. The site is located within a 1/4 mile of 2 CATS bus routes. The site is located within a 1/2 mile walk shed of commercial place types with current uses providing access to daily needs and services. They will be providing 25-foot Class B landscape yards to provide buffering between the single-family duplex and triplex dwellings. And the petitioner is providing a 6-foot tall opaque fence and a 6-foot tall berm to provide additional screening. We also think that this petition could facilitate goals 1 and 2 of the 2040 comprehensive plan. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Stuart. Questions on this one? Anybody? All right, we got a lively group out here tonight. One quick question, Stuart. So the tree save between the back buildings and the interstate, at its narrowest kind of site plan west, right, southwest, what is the width there between kind of the back of the building and Queen City Drive?
I don't have that measurement on me.
I'm looking on the site plan, but this right here, I don't know. I'm just curious. I mean, again, you have the buffer of Queen City before you get to 85 as well. I know there was some conversation around this in the public hearing. But that would be helpful. I think it's something that's not going to bother me too much. In addition to that, it looks like the development immediately adjacent, that 2019-089 petition, nothing has been built there. Is that correct?
Correct. So there have been, to the map east, there are 2 rezonings, and the one closest has filed for some permitting, but there's nothing built. There's nothing constructed. And what's shown as the street on the site plan as Grand Lakes Drive, has not been constructed yet either.
Okay. And so it's helpful. That was one question that I had, and I'd actually pointed out to a couple fellow commissioners, is if that connection isn't made, then you have one of those kind of one kind of what's a sole ingress, egress communities that goes against everything we're trying to do to maximize connectivity here, right? And that's where you said that they would commit to, and it looks like that's not going to be feasible, right? The connection to the parcel to the east or to Plan East. So they will commit to a driveway to Queen City Drive, so for more connectivity there?
Yes, they've committed to a private drive.
Okay.
In whatever capacity NCDOT allows, and is the language in their conditional note. But as long as NCDOT okays it, they will connect with a private drive.
Did they indicate how likely that was with NCDOT? I mean, looking at this one, and sorry to really chime in earlier. I expected NCDOT was probably the hurdle, and that's why there wasn't that connection to begin with.
The initial plan was to use Grand Lakes Drive.
Yeah.
It seems, if that does stall, and that's why we gave them, up to halfway, that 155 mark, so that they have some time to try and make that connection. But obviously if the adjacent parcel doesn't develop, that's not something they can do. So they will then work with NCDOT and make a conceded effort to get that connection. But we do have CDOT online if you wanted to ask them specifically about transportation issues.
In this circumstance, and depending on how you feel, I actually think I would like to ask them where that stands, only because I think my support for this hinges on having a second means of ingress egress, right? The Grand Lakes Drive access would be fantastic, but there are factors that are entirely out of this petitioner's control to make that happen. And it could be years before that's feasible, right? So I would like to personally make a motion to suspend the rules, to ask CDOT about.
You don't need to suspend it.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't need to suspend the
sorry.
rules,
I was thinking we asked them. It's been a day, guys. In that case, whoever wants to respond to that, just to understand kind of both the likelihood and the enforceability of us mandating this petitioner to have a second means of ingress and egress for this site.
This is Isaiah Washington with CDOT. The conversations that I've had with NCDOT related to this, they're very open. I don't think it would be an issue for them to have an access from this place. There would just may come with more improvements. They may request left turn lane, right turn lane, or something like that as they review it and overlook it. But as it stands, they've been very receptive for that access as well.
Got it. Yeah, because I mean, I'm just looking at, you have, looks like Sheets Circle or Creek, whatever that is, kind of at the plant, at the southern portion of it. And where unless they were to adjust this site plan, there's not a ton of space for a road to come through and connect to Queen City Drive. And you already have another road coming off right there. So again, that's why the understanding kind of how realistic that is. And from what you don't think that it would be a major issue?
No, based off of what they spoke before, it didn't feel like that was an issue. Like they stated that if they chose to go with that, they may look at it more as far as having an additional improvement to kind of tie with it. But overall, they were very receptive of the access.
Okay, thank you, Isaiah. Stuart, to you, do we have language on our end in terms of leaning into kind of mandating that as a contingency if the primary connectivity to Grand Lake Drive is not feasible? Like, is there like a certain timeline after which they have to commit to the private drive, right? Like, we're going to give, I don't know, a year from rezoning. If we don't have the, approved connectivity to Grand Lake Drive, then we're going to revert to a private drive.
Yeah, so they committed to, by the issuance of the 155th CO, if they haven't made that connection onto Grand Lake Drive, they will then commit to private access via Queen City.
Got it. All right. That's everything that I have. I think that answers my questions and gets me comfortable with this one. If anybody would like to make a motion, please.
Having reviewed Shaw motion to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2024-126 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Neely, second.
Motion by Shaw, second by Neely. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Thank you very much, Stuart and Isaiah. Next, we have 2024-131 by Pulte Homes with Joe again.
Thank you. This site is approximately 35 acres located on the northwest and southeast side of Morse Chapel Road, south of Charlie Hip Road and north of I-85. Surrounded by large lot, single-family detached to the north and commercial and industrial uses along I-85 to the south. Current zoning is N1A. Proposed zoning is N1ECD. The 2040 policy map recommends neighborhood 1 place type. The proposal is for a community of 78 triplex units and 79 single-family units. Establish a 10-foot Class C landscape yard around the perimeter of the site. Provides a 30-foot reverse frontage buffer along the Morse Chapel Road frontage. Identifies open space areas to include a pocket park and dog park. Commits to contributing $40,000 to Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation to accommodate future parks within the general area of the site. Commits to design standards, including covered porches and stoops as predominant features, as well as several transportation improvements, including an extension of Performance Road as a collector street through a portion of the site with right-of-way to be dedicated to the property line for future extension. A public street network to access dwellings on the northwest side of Morse Chapel Road, and an alley to access dwellings on the southeast side of Morse Chapel. A left turn lane into the site from Morse Chapel Road, an 8-foot planting strip and 12-foot multi-use path along the Morse Chapel Road frontage, and an 8-foot planting strip and 6-foot sidewalk along Performance Road. Since the public hearing, the petitioner addressed outstanding issues related to transportation, the environment, and site and building design. They also enhanced a landscape yard in the northwestern corner of the site in response to some community concerns. Staff recommends approval of this petition upon resolution of outstanding issues related to the environment and site and building design. Just to highlight those, they are to ensure that the tree save area is comprised of existing trees and is a minimum of 30 feet wide. Also, staff has a request to remove the awkwardly placed units at the eastern end of Road B that intrude upon open space. The petition is consistent with the policy map recommendation for N1 place type, and I will take any questions.
Thank you very much, Joe. Any questions, comments?
Yeah.
Commissioner Seeley.
My questions are to CDOT about State Route 161, Morse Chapel Road. This is a lot of impact on a little tiny road. Are there any planned widenings, and I can't believe I'm asking about widenings, in the future in this area?
And are you speaking on the Queen City side, Tuckasegee? Well, I can answer both. There currently aren't any active projects for the frontages for these. The Queen City Drive is a state road too, so I don't know if they have something already prepared for the future or whatnot.
So I'm talking about Morse Chapel Road.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about the previous one.
2024-131.
Yes. I believe on Morse Chapel, close to the west, there's a future project, but they won't affect this project though. But the state has been looking at the area as a whole, and they have some projects that will kind of mitigate some of the existing traffic as we move forward in the future. But currently, they're saying this isn't something that's happening along their frontage right now.
Anybody else? Commissioner Shaw.
Yes, can we get the site plan back up? Emma? Yes, thank you. So the first street perpendicular to Morse Chapel, north of Morse Chapel, there are 3 units that kind of on the end of the cul-de-sac that intrude kind of upward into the open space, and staff has felt that they just kind of awkwardly placed and like I say, kind of intrude into that open space and are closer to the units on the next street than any of the other townhomes that just look a little bit out of place.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. The question was just understanding about the design comments that staff had on the east side of Road B, which was what Joe was responding to. So would there be a solution, like could the cul-de-sac be smaller, or what's the recommended solution?
It's been a comment since the first review. The petitioner has not seemed to want to make a change. I think, and I'm not sure that we've discussed this specifically, but I mean, a T turnaround might be a solution there that would allow for units while keeping the same, front, back, or geometry of the road and of the dwelling units.
And is the concern is just not liking that it doesn't all line up, or is the concern that it reduces the amount of open space to the point of like not being consistent with the code?
I don't think it's a code issue. I think it's more of a design issue.
Just a visual kind of
intrusion into the open space that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Commissioner Whitaker.
Park and Recreation asks for, the same percentage of all developers on these sites. They have asked for 1.75 acres. And it appears, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, that that's been a non-starter, that this developer hadn't honored that, isn't considering it. They've said, we'll build our own maintained dog park and you guys can tap sand. Is that pretty much the extent of those negotiations?
I have to say, I was not involved in the direct negotiations between Park and Rec and the petitioner.
Their comments were asking planning staff to advocate for the park dedication on their behalf. So did you, when Park and Rec sent that to planning staff, did you pass that on to developer? And
Yes. We pass along all comments from city and county.
But no response from the developer.
It did not appear that they were willing to provide that park space. They did provide, are providing $40,000 to Park and Recreation.
Yeah. Which they can't really do.
They can't ask for a dollar figure, right? They can ask for the land. But I don't think they're asking developers for specific.
Sure.
Figure.
And they're not advocating for that. And it's also a tough trick as to how $40,000 payment's going to go to Park and Rec, that, like whether or not it goes to the county and then what the county does with it. I don't know. In other words, that is a less than certain transaction in terms of producing any kind of park amenity. And that's the whole point of this project, to try to, as we're building these developments, we want minimum infrastructure. We want transportation. We want the ability to be able to access where we need to go. And they have, it appears, simply thumbed their nose at that aspect of it. You don't have anything to the contrary?
I do think, this is Dave, I do think the county owns some land, a large parcel to the north of this, so they may be contributing to future investment in that property.
Where's that?
I believe the county owns a lot of the land north of the property directly behind, which is Ms. Washington's property. But if the petitioner's there, you may want to suspend the rules and ask them if they've had those conversations. But I do know the county owns some property over there, because I know that road extension is supposed to actually go through it. And there's been lots of conversations about the impacts to potential future park sites because of that. So they may have been asking for that in reference to it. So you may want to again suspend the rules and ask the petitioner for a little bit more insight.
I appreciate that tip. Chair Blumenthal, may I make a motion to suspend the rules to ask the petitioner to answer the question, what's the deal with the 1.75 acres?
By all means.
Thank you. Do we need to vote on that?
You do.
I
Yeah, you need to make-
I make that motion.
Okay, can you,
Second, Seeley.
all right,
What's the deal with 1.75 acres is the question.
got it. Motion by Winiker, second by Seeley. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ask away, Rick.
What's the deal with the 1.75 acres? I saw you gesturing over at me.
Bridget Grant, land use consultant with Moore and Van Allen. We had numerous conversations with Park and Rec. The initial request was for the 1.75 acres. We talked about the opportunity for them to use the open space that's publicly accessible open space within our community as one of the options. We've done that on numerous other rezonings. Ultimately, when we worked with conversations with Park and Rec, they acknowledged that they have some other parks in the area that haven't been funded for the beginning of improvements. And so they were amenable to us providing a donation. They've done that before as well. You can either give it directly to Park and Rec or you can go through Partners for Parks. Our conversation with Park and Rec was to have it the contribution to Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation. And that's the format that we followed. But it was through numerous conversations.
But they confirmed that you can make a donation directly to Park and Rec or to the county, or do you know?
It was directly to Park and Rec. Actually, I think they made us change it to the county
Right.
to be allocated.
There is no Park and Rec entity.
But they can direct that funding. So that was the direction that they gave us.
Can.
Yes.
They can. So we'll see if
They were comfortable with that.
And I understand. And Bridget, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Winiker. Anybody else? One final question. Joe, on the north side of the site plan, there's a right of way to be dedicated. Saying that it will not be constructed due to the stream crossing. Was this something requested by staff? I guess because that, just looking at another page, it looks like that actually connects right to some land that is already owned by Parks and Rec. It doesn't seem like that's ever going to be built, right? Correct? I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it makes much sense. So why is that a right of way and not just additional tree save? I guess really is my question.
So CDOT will probably want to jump in to add some more to this, but this extension of Performance Road will ultimately connect or is envisioned to connect to Whitewater Center Parkway. So understanding that Park and Rec has some land in that general area, I think the kind of curve to the east of that's shown in the right of way is meant to perhaps avoid the majority of that park owned land.
Got it.
But it is envisioned to ultimately connect there to Whitewater Center.
Understood. CDOT, do you have any clarity to add to that, or is that about it?
Based off the Charlotte Streets map, that was kind of the direction that they went in. And I think for a very high level preliminary overview of it, some of the thought process would be, especially if this came down to a CD project, end up having to do this, it may be a lot more work for us to be able to create that connection. But when it's internal versus as it relates to the site, they wouldn't be able to, as to what they're doing, to what the road is for. It just made more sense for them to reserve that right away so that we'd be able to make that connection in the future, versus what it would take for them to have it even just get to their property line, which is typically what the UDO calls for. So we were comfortable with them reserving it so that when we do our due diligence in the future and where they stopped it currently at, if we need to make an adjustment or something, we're able to do it.
Understood. Thank you very much for that clarification. Commissioner Shaw.
Sorry, just to follow on to that. So is that clarification why this is like a mamma jamma giant road? It looks really big I mean, there's like a bike lane each way and a really wide sidewalk. And is that maybe a median too? So that's what's dictated by the Charlotte Streets map,
Yes.
I'm assuming. Okay.
Yes, and we spoke with NCDOT to make sure, because this is ETJ currently, if this project were to never come into the city and CDOT couldn't maintain maintenance, we wanted to verify that NCDOT would be able to maintain the cross-section that we had for it as far as the Shaw Streets map, and we got the email confirmation that they would. So it's a combination of what the streets map said and NCDOT being okay with that as well.
Thank you, Isaiah. And last but not least, I promise, because they are developing both sides of the street, and granted there are no Morris Chapel, and granted there are no plans for immediate retail or anything like that. Are there any pedestrian improvements being made to the intersection? And I'm sorry if I missed this, but to the intersection of Performance and Morris Chapel to just to help people get back and forth, knowing that there will be more people living right in this immediate area? That's for Isaiah and Joe, whoever has an answer. Sorry.
Aside from what I believe the streetscape that they have to do, which would create ramps and such for people to be across from it, I don't recall there being a specific improvement for that as far as like a hybrid beacon or something of that sort. But I do know just from a streetscape standpoint that sidewalk and whatnot due to the ordinance would be required at that intersection.
Understood. And I guess my just a suggestion would be, as this area inevitably continues to get density following a project like this, definitely something to keep in mind in the future, because I feel like pedestrian crossings will increase. And believe it or not, people don't always drive the speed limit there. All right, that's it for me. Anybody else? Happy to entertain a motion. From somebody.
Shaw, motion to approve.
Thank you.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2024-131 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Second, Seeley.
Motion by Shaw, second by Seeley. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That was unanimous. Item number 6, petition 2024-133 by Kenjo Outdoor Advertising with Stewart, please.
2024-133 is approximately 1.16 acres located east of Roslyn's Ferry Road and west of Brookshire Boulevard. The site is currently used as an industrial building with industrial uses to the west, residential and commercial uses to the east and south. The site is currently zoned I1 CD light industrial conditional. The proposed zoning is ML1 CD manufacturing and logistics 1 conditional. The 2040 policy map recommends the innovation mixed use place type of the site. The petitioner has a tier 1 proposal with conditions prohibiting the uses of the adult electronic gaming establishments, adult uses, amusement facility outdoor, employment labor service agency, kennels, vehicle auction facility, recycle collection center, truck stop, vehicle operations facility, temporary uses, mobile car wash. Staff does recommend approval of this petition. The petition is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map. However, the petition site is currently light industrial zoning district from our legacy ordinance, and a rezoning to ML1 would bring the site up to date with the current UDO without increasing intensity. The UDO also prescribes automatic triggers for landscape yards that could provide buffering to the adjacent neighborhood 1 uses. The ML1 zoning district accommodates light industrial uses, including warehouses, distribution, and logistics. These uses are compatible with the site's proximity to ML2 and ML2 CD districts, allowing for a consistent pattern of development. The ML1 zoning district is designed for light industrial uses and can allow for a transition between more intense industrial uses, such as those allowed in ML2, and the surrounding general commercial zoning districts. The site is in close proximity to I-85, allowing efficient access of large trucks typical of M&L uses. And the subject property is not within Uptown or City Center, and the site is served by an arterial and abuts an existing rail corridor. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Questions, comments on this one? My only question is why? Right? I mean, we're going from ML1, or excuse me, from I1 CD to ML1 CD. And not that I have a problem with it, but just hypothetically, what use is allowed in ML1 that's not allowed in I1? But aren't they excluding that from this or not?
So there is.
It was excluded before and they're buying it, they want to put a billboard in.
Correct. So there is no site plan accompanied this petition. It is a tier 1. So they just have a list of prohibited uses. What they intend to do with the site, anything that's allowed by right. But as you mentioned, their current conditional zoning has a prohibition on outdoor advertising signs. The newest does not. So that would be a difference between the existing land use.
Should have seen it in the name. All right. That's it. Motion, please.
Motion to approve Sealy, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2024-133 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it also appears right there.
Don't you?
Shaw, second.
Yes. Motion by Sealy, second by Shaw. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you guys very much. Unanimous. No, it's not. I did mix it up today though. Item number 7, 2024-134 by St. Charles Avenue LLC, to Emma, please.
2024-134 is approximately 0.47 acres located along the east side of Castleton Road, north of North Sharon Amby Road, and west of Craig Avenue. The current zoning is N1A, Neighborhood 1A, and the proposed zoning is N1C, Neighborhood 1C. The 2040 policy map recommends the Neighborhood 1 place type for this site. This is a conventional petition, so there is no associated site plan for this petition. The petition is consistent with the 2040 policy map recommendation for the Neighborhood 1 place type. I will take any questions the committee might have.
Thank you very much, Emma. Any questions? Do you want to clarify that or?
So I'm assuming in the scenario of an N1A, there would not be enough space on the lot to have a duplex, and in the N1, really?
Enough space. You can do a duplex or a triplex by right.
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
So is this to split the lot then? Kind of.
Yeah, the question
a la
is-
the Hidden Valley case?
If you want to, measure lot area, technically, you would look at that question. Yes, this, under N1A, they would not have enough lot area to subdivide.
Okay. So, all right. So speculating here, they're looking to subdivide the lot.
Okay.
Given, I think this
The
area,
petitioner has not disclosed that information to me.
correct.
This is conventional. It's only a change in category in the zoning.
No, understood.
It was mentioned though in the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, right, because this was the first of 3 that are
It
all,
was mentioned in the public hearing by the petitioner that was.
okay, okay. How do we feel about that? Everyone, we have 3 in a row. We've seen several of these going forward. It's in an area that already has a decent amount of the naturally occurring affordable housing. Do we think that this helps promote this trend?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
All right, well, then on that note, let's take a motion.
Winokur, thank you. Winokur, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2024-134 as it appears before us in the adoption of the consistency statement.
Neely, second.
Motion Winiker, second Neely, all in favor.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Unanimous. Next, item number 8, 2024-135 by Harold Carrillo to Max, please.
Petition 2024-135 is located on the east side of Grove Street, north of Trexler Avenue and northwest of Niven Road. The site's approximately 0.92 acres and is vacant. Property is zoned N1A, Neighborhood 1. Proposed zoning is N1C, Neighborhood 1, a conventional zoning district. The 2040 policy map recommends the Neighborhood 1 place type. The N1C district is consistent with this place type. This is a conventional rezoning petition, and there's not an associated site plan and would permit any use allowed in the N1C zoning district. Staff recommends approval as the N1C district aligns with the policy map and the development pattern prescribed by the Neighborhood 1 place type, and the permitted N1C zoning district is consistent with the character of the area. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Max. Similar scenario, any question?
Winiker, motion, move to
for it.
approve.
Yeah.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval. Petition number 2024-135 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Neely, second.
Motion Winiker, second Neely, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Item number 9, 2024-136 by Keen Building Company. Back to Emma, please.
2024-136 is approximately 0.51 acres located on the west side of Craig Avenue, east of Castleton Road, and north of North Sharon Amity Road. The current zoning is N1A and the proposed zoning is N1C. The 2040 policy map recommends the Neighborhood 1 place type for this site. This is a conventional petition, therefore there is no associated site plan. The petition is consistent with the 2040 policy map recommendation for Neighborhood 1 place type. I will take any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Emma. Same question to you guys. Any feedback?
Question is who's going to make the motion?
Winiker, move to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move we recommend approval of petition number 2024-136 as appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Second, Seeley.
Motion Winiker, second Seeley, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I've realized that on none of these I say any against, but I can hear all 5 people, so hopefully there's no issue. Item number 10, 2024-140 by Urban Trends Real Estate. Stuart, please.
2024-140 is approximately 0.45 acres located northeast of West Trade Street, southeast of Fraser Ave, and southwest of West 5th Street. The site is currently surrounded by a mix of uses from residential, single-family, residential attached, residential multifamily, as well as commercial uses. The site is currently zoned in C. The proposed zoning is TOD NC, Transit Oriented Development Neighborhood Center. The 2040 policy map recommends a neighborhood center place type. Staff does recommend approval of this petition. The petition is consistent with the 2040 policy map. The site is within a 500-foot walk to the Wesley Heights Gold Line Station. The TOD NC district may be applied to parcels within a 1-mile walking distance of an existing rapid transit station or within a 1-mile walking distance of an adopted MTC alignment station location. Conventional TOD NC zoning applies standards and regulations that create the desired form and intensity to support transit-oriented development. With the support of the Gold Line, the site supplies easy access to both everyday necessities and employment opportunities, engendering a pedestrian-oriented environment. The petition could facilitate the following 2040 comprehensive plan goals: 1, with a 10-minute neighborhood, and 4, being trail and transit-oriented development. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Stuart. Commissioner Seeley.
So I asked this with the Elizabeth neighborhood 7th Street project. Why aren't these areas already TOD, considering they're on a transit line, a fixed rail transit line that's never going anywhere?
I would defer.
As the existing is neighborhood center, and with 7th Street, that was, within a mile walking of a transit station. So I feel like This should already be TOD.
I think the TOD alignment project just didn't map out Gold Line stations,
Gotcha.
and it would have automatically translated to NC because of the pedestrian overlay. So that kind of covered our basis in terms of a pedestrian oriented environment.
Mhm.
And this just kind of takes it one step further by bringing on that transit oriented lens to that.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Thank you, Holly. Any other questions, concerns, comments? To Commissioner Shiley's point, I think this makes perfect sense and I'm excited. I drive by the site all the time. Excited to see what the developer is able to do here. Happy to entertain a motion barring any further discussion.
Motion to approve Sealy, having reviewed the petition and consider the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2024-140 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement. Right there.
Motion Sealy, second Shaw, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, that passes unanimously. And last but not least, this evening, we have 2024-148 by CSE Communities LLC. And Max, bring us home.
Petition 2024-148 is located on the east side of Pool Oak Drive, south of Mount Holly Huntersville Road and west of Brookshire Boulevard. The site's approximately 2.6 acres and is a portion of a tract that is developed with a financial institution. Current zoning is CC, Commercial Center Conditional. Proposed zoning is CAC 1 CD, Community Activity Center 1 Conditional. 2040 policy map recommends the Community Activity Center place type for the site. CAC 1 district is consistent with this place type. Proposal calls for the development of up to 80 multifamily stacked dwelling units. It intends to develop an affordable housing project under the following conditions. A minimum of 70% of the units will be reserved for households earning less than 80% AMI for a period of not less than 20 years, utilizing housing trust fund financing. Petitioner commits to an 18-month period, including 2 requests for proposal to obtain the Housing Trust Fund financing. If after 18-month period and the 2 RFPs, Housing Trust Fund financing is not obtained, the site will be permitted to develop under the CAC 1 standards as outlined in the conditional rezoning plan without an affordable housing commitment. The 18-month period will begin upon approval of the rezoning petition. Maximum building height is 80 feet, and the plan prohibits certain auto-oriented and more intense uses. Changes since public hearing include refined use language if the Housing Trust Fund goal is not met, adding a list of prohibited uses, and adding an 80-foot height limit. Staff recommends approval of this petition as the petition is consistent with the 2040 policy recommendation for the Community Activity Center. It proposes to replace an underutilized portion of a large tract with 80 dwelling units, increasing the number of units and variety of housing in the area. The development is directly abutting a shopping center with boasts a wide variety of daily goods and services, and the site has access to multiple bus routes. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Max. Any questions on this one? Only one comment on my end. I know that in the public hearing, council got caught up a little bit on that 18-month period after which this can revert to by right. I know most of you were there. I just want to reiterate how much sense that makes to not hold this hostage, in perpetuity. And again, I know we're not able to consider the petitioner, but I have every faith that this will get done. On that note, happy to entertain a motion.
Shaw, motion to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2024-148 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Neely, second.
Motion by Shaw, second by Neely. All in favor?
Aye.
Nobody against. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.